Guys, esports has grown exponentially over the last few years. We went from the basements of convention halls to major sports stadiums around the world. Sometimes, kind of feels like we made it. Now that doesn't mean though, that even now, we don't hit the occasional hiccup along the way. And by occasional hiccup, I mean massive scandal. Here are the top 10 scandals in esports. Starting us off is the insane story of the implosion of EchoFox, which led to Rick Fox's departure from esports after months of scandal behind the scenes. In April 2019, esports journalist Richard Lewis reported that an unnamed shareholder used racial slurs in a conversation with one of EchoFox's co-owners, Jace Hall. After more reports came out about the shareholder, later identified as Amit Raizada, Rick Fox broke his silence and told TMZ that he was out unless EchoFox could remove Raizada.
This has been my life. This has been my passion. And I'm not looking to go anywhere, but I will not stay in a business with a racist. I just won't.
From allegations of threats, racism, and drug use, the war for the soul of EchoFox raged on as the entire org burned to the ground. Unfortunately, in the end, EchoFox was forced to sell their LCS slot and officially dissolved.
Just how do you feel?
How do I feel? I feel completely bent over. I feel unappreciated. I feel unheard. I feel angry. I feel disrespected. I feel sad.
Coming in at number 9 is a situation that led to a player being banned from an entire city. 2018 proved to be a tumultuous year for TNC Predator player KooKoo, who found himself in hot water after using a slur against Chinese players in a pub match. News of the insult spread like wildfire in the Chinese Dota community, and with a major coming up in Chongqing, China, the government banned the Filipino player from attending.
Back to the official word. Players and teams will make mistakes in the future, and they should accept responsibility for them. We want there to be opportunities to learn from their errors, but taking responsibility doesn't mean making mistakes don't come without a cost.
According to TNC, the government told them they could not, quote, guarantee KooKoo's safety should he attend the major.
It's hard to, these guys are young, and some of them you might even call kids, so to have like this negative energy directed against you, I think it was hard.
This incident ignited a war within the Dota community, with Valve even coming under fire for supposedly pandering to the Chinese government, and KooKoo was subsequently banned from the major. Yeah, he got banned from the same event twice. Coming in at number 8 is, yes, again, the Olaf Boost. Look, it's on every top 10 list we've ever done for a reason. It's undeniable that at the time the play took place, the entire CS world held their breath as the best two teams in the world fought for supremacy at DreamHack Winter 2014. Fnatic was down on Overpass after being smashed 12-3 in the first half by LDLC. And while the audience at home thought all hope was lost, Fnatic still had one trick up their sleeve.
Olaf Meister is still waiting. The patience game coming. I can spot them coming out of Squeak Door as well. He's here. He sees them down there. Straight headshot. They have no idea. Smith's looking confused and dazed, and there's going to be a follow-up headshot. Olaf Meister, you've got to be kidding me. Takes down Hiroshima as well. Oh, it finally works, and now Fnatic, if this is the comeback moment for them.
What has come to be known as the Olaf Boost left LDLC, well, it left them confused and dazed, let's say. Fnatic won the map and the series, but their win was immediately called into question.
Do you think it's fair? I mean, I feel sorry for the LDLC guys because they played an amazing match. They played way better than we actually did, but we had more knowledge about the map, so we won because of that.
DreamHack staff reviewed the play and determined that the Olaf Boost was illegal. A remake was called, Fnatic chose to forfeit, and the rest is history. History that gets told in every theScore Esports top 10 list. Taking the number 7 spot on our list is a cry for freedom that set the Blizzard world ablaze. In October 2019, after a match in the Hearthstone Grandmasters Series Taiwan, Blitz gave a post-match interview and yelled, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age," on stream.
头先低下。
光复香港，时代革命。
His statement was in support of the protests occurring in Hong Kong at the time, where locals took to the streets to oppose mainland China's influence on their government. Blizzard proceeded to take down the VOD, ban Blitz and the casters who interviewed him for a year, and made him forfeit around $4,000 of prize money. People were pissed, and Blizzard was forced to respond, though few were satisfied with their apology.
We didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves. And the second is we failed in our purpose. And for that, I am sorry, and I accept accountability.
Blitz got his prize money back and his ban was cut to 6 months, but his story made international headlines. It led to people canceling their Blizzard accounts and to governments making statements about the company's actions.
Now, we also had some condemnation from U.S. politicians stepping into this, as they did with the NBA controversy. That includes Senator Wyden, who's a Democrat, mind you. He says Blizzard shows it is willing to humiliate itself to please the Chinese Communist Party. No American company should censor calls for freedom to make a quick buck.
The number 6 spot belongs to the insane saga of how one of League of Legends' most promising teams exploded. This is one of the most complex scandals in esports, and if you want more info, you can watch one of the 5 videos we've already made to explain the situation. But the end result of the whole mess is that Gryphon, an up-and-coming team full of exciting players, was basically torn apart in a feud between their manager and their coach. A minor was allegedly tricked into signing a terrible contract, players were allegedly physically and verbally abused, and we still don't know the full story.
Sword, one of the players on Gryphon, also says, quote, "He also said I'm disgusting and that he can't handle me. He said that if we lose because of me, he'd follow me to the end of the world to get revenge or that he'd kill me."
As a result of this whole mess, Gryphon was fined, along with the manager and the coach, who were also banned from competitive league. Plus, a Korean senator put Gryphon on blast and is currently pushing for a complete overhaul of Korean esports contracts. Taking the number 5 spot on our list, we have the fall of one of the greatest careers in StarCraft 2. Life was one of the most accomplished StarCraft 2 players of his day and became known as the god of the game at just 15 years old. But all of that success came crashing down in 2016 when Life was arrested. The Korean police found that Life participated in a StarCraft 2 match-fixing ring, sending shockwaves throughout Korean esports.
One of the 2 programmers arrested as part of this investigation is 19-year-old Life.
The arrest of former Blizzard World Champion Lee Life Seong-hung has been followed with an indictment.
Life was fined roughly $42,200 in today's currency and sentenced to 18 months in jail at just 19 years old. To put this in perspective, the Korean court ruled that the damage to the esports industry was so great that it outweighed the fact that he was a minor when he committed the crimes, which meant he got no appeals.
The fact that the world champion ended up throwing matches as well as a couple of other players that we know of, and obviously while he did get prosecuted and all that, obviously did hurt the Korean scene a lot.
That one decision destroyed his career and annihilated his legacy as one of the greatest players to ever touch StarCraft 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for the 2014 StarCraft 2 World Champion, Start Out Live!
The saga of Tfue and Fahey's clan is one of the biggest controversies in esports and streaming history, and that's why it's coming in at number 4 on our list. In 2019, Tfue was on top of the world. He was one of the biggest streamers on Twitch, but behind the scenes, things weren't as rosy between Tfue and his org.
This is a video that absolutely no one at FaZe Clan ever wanted to make because it's going to shed some negative light on a guy that we care a lot about, but he's forced this upon us.
In May 2019, Tfue sued FaZe. Why? Well, according to Tfue's legal team, his contract with one of the gaming world's biggest orgs was, quote, grossly oppressive, onerous, and one-sided.
First of all, why are we sitting around believing that they only took $60,000? You know, how you could rely on their $60,000 figure as to what they made off him, it's disingenuous. I mean, do you realize how much money FaZe Clan is making by having Turner as part of its team? How much advertising they're selling? How many sponsorships that they obtained because Turner was part of their team? It's almost laughable.
Now, for their part, FaZe said they've been trying to make Tfue happy and renegotiate his contract for months and were caught off guard and blindsided by the lawsuit.
We've already said it. We haven't taken any money from the guy. This is a guy, he's made certainly $15-20 million since he's signed with us. right? He's personally made money. He's going to be somewhere around those numbers.
At this point, the lawsuit is still ongoing. In fact, it's mushroomed into 2 different lawsuits in 2 different states. But no matter what happens with either, one thing is for sure. The results will have a profound impact on esports and streamer contracts in the future.
These kids are getting ripped off. They're getting taken advantage of. These contracts are not okay, and this needs to never happen again. And there's tons of people in contracts this bad, just like me. And I'm the first person to stand up and say, this is fucked, this is not right, this is not cool. This is fucking bullshit.
No list of esports controversies would be complete without the most notorious match-fixing scandal in Counter-Strike history, the IBUYPOWER scandal, which is why it's coming in at number 3 on our list. In August 2014, IBUYPOWER, one of the best teams in North America, played a match against a team called Netcode Guides during Season 5 of the CEVO Pro League. And something about that match just felt off.
And it's very weird to see Steel opting over Skadoodle. I don't know if Skadoodle's not feeling it right now or what is going on, but IBUYPOWER is definitely not playing like IBUYPOWER. Doesn't go for the shot. He's going to try and get the flank off. He's going to have 2 right there. Can they line up for him? What is he doing? Why did he hesitate so much? Doesn't matter. Has the CZ. Gets 1. Gets taken down. Hayes was so very low. They lined up perfectly for him, but for some reason, he says he wanted a knife.
Just a few months later, esports journalist Richard Lewis reported that IBUYPOWER had thrown the match and placed 9 bets at $1,193 each. 4 of the 5 IBUYPOWER players were subsequently banned permanently. The community still argues about whether or not the ban was justified and what NACS could have looked like if the throw had never happened.
Yeah, no, get fucked, Days. Sorry, bro, you're the ringleader, you should burn, and I'm just so sad that you fucking brought swag in this shit with you, that you took advantage of a fucking young star that had everything ahead of him, and that he could have fucking gone on to become one of the best North American players of all time, to fucking dominate worldwide, and you ruined that.
Unfortunately, we'll just never know, as none of the banned players have been let back into Valve-sanctioned competition. Their bans left a gaping hole in North American CS, one that took years to fill.
Happens! They made it work! Cloud9 are your E-League Major champions!
Xavier was a bourgeois, one of the greatest players to ever touch StarCraft. He was adored and revered, but his legacy was destroyed by one of the highest profile match-fixing scandals esports has ever seen, which is why Xavier comes in at number 2 on our list.
Yeah, so I mean, at the time, it was like super shocking when the match fixing scandal broke in Food War. Not just because it was match fixing, but it was because it was so many players, and not only was it like 11 like mid tier players, it involved Xavier, who was at the time, I want to say like top 5 greatest player of all time in terms of both like results and popularity.
In May 2010, an investigation concluded that several StarCraft players, including Xavier, were participating in a massive match-fixing ring. It was one of the first match-fixing scandals that extended beyond a handful of isolated players, which meant that punishments were severe. Xavier got 2 years probation, 120 hours of community service, and had all his domestic titles and trophies taken away from him. All that's left of his legacy now is the deep disappointment of his fans, who still wonder how he could have stooped so low.
얼마나 e스포츠가 10여 년의 어떤 역사를 함께 해오면서 한순간에 정말 동료들한테, 팬들한테, e스포츠와 함께하는 관계자들한테 이런 식으로 비수를 들이대나?
There's only one thing bigger than match fixing, and that's the destruction of an entire gray market gambling economy. That's right, the number 1 spot on our list is going to the Valve crackdown on CSGO's skin gambling market. By 2016, CSGO had developed a skin market worth an estimated $5 billion. People would gamble using skins as chips, but without any government oversight, skin gambling was open to minors and to people in parts of the world where gambling was illegal.
Because Valve has helped to create an unregulated, international gambling concern with no oversight that targets teenagers, plaintiffs and the class have been damaged. Their kids lost money, And the parents came together saying, well, this is illegal. Why are you allowing my kids to gamble?
The CS community was sitting on a time bomb that was ticking down to a legal nightmare. And in July, that time bomb blew up. It all started with Team Martin and Pro Syndicate, two popular YouTubers who were advertising a skin gambling website on their channel, but didn't disclose the very important fact that they owned it.
I've been starting to bet a little bit more. Like Brock, like obviously you guys know he loves betting. He's posted a ton of betting videos on his channel and stuff. And he's been hitting me up. And we found this new site called CSGO Lotto. So I'll link it down in the description if you guys want to check it out. But we were betting on it today and I won a pot of like $69 or something like that. So it's a pretty small pot, but it was like the coolest feeling ever.
The resulting scandal blew the lid off the entire skin betting ecosystem. Valve had to hand out 23 cease and desists to skin gambling websites, dealt with class action lawsuits, and even fielded an investigation from the Washington State Gambling Commission. The lawsuits haven't stopped yet, and Valve had to change the way the skin market worked to limit gambling. The entire situation even prompted governments all over the world to take a closer look at skin gambling and loot boxes, which has even led to laws being enacted in some countries.
We're looking at legislation this coming year which could prohibit access or prohibit the sale of these games to folks who are underage in order to protect families, as well as prohibiting different kinds of mechanisms in those games.
I think the games industry should accept a much more proactive responsibility. It gathers the data about how people play, how much they spend. It can identify the outliers, people who maybe are suddenly playing a lot more or for a long period of time been playing a lot more. And I think it should take an interest in the welfare of those players.
No other esports scandal had this kind of worldwide impact, and it's hard to imagine any will again. Well guys, that's our list of the top 10 scandals in all of esports. Now, if you want to know more about any of the individual entries, well, we've done entire videos on almost every one. So check those out, sub to the channel, like this video, and comment below. And I'll see you next week. You know how they always say, like, we're made of stars? Like, human beings are literally a way for the universe to know itself. The sun is so hot, it creates nuclear attracting forces. Like, most of the universe was comprised of hydrogen, right? And then when those molecules like go into suns, you know, right up to uranium, all the naturally occurring elements we find in our universe. It's amazing. It's fucking incredible. Esports was made in stars, dude. Come on.